Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Camelator Podcast. This is where you learn to live like a champion. On to this episode, I've got a gentleman that, my gosh, he is a champion indeed. Mr. Blaine Bartlett. He is an internationally respected and sought after executive coach, management consultant, organizational leadership development expert. I mean, you name it, he has done it. He founded a consulting firm back in 1987, and that firm has affiliates across the world, would you believe? While living in Japan, and I'm going to be visiting there very soon, in the 1980s, he managed the business and international consulting division there, one of the most successful human resource development and consulting in Asia, and we know the size of Asia. Blaine is also an adjunct professor of China Beijing University. I wonder if he speaks Chinese, and is on the teaching faculty of the American Association for Physician Leadership. Well, you know what I'm excited about? He is currently on the board of directors and the dean of education of the World's Business Academy and the LA-based Unstoppable Foundation. I want to know more about that. He's also on an advisory board of the Tokyo-based All Nippon Management Consulting Association. Quite a lot where about consulting, but he's the author of 4 books, the #1 international bestseller, and I want to hear about this, Compassionate Capitalism, like that's like an oxymoron. We want to know. A Journey to the Soul of Business. Discover Your Inner Strength, written in collaboration with Stephen Covey. We all know of Ken Blanchard, my favorite, and I've met him a few times, Brian Tracy, and so many others. His latest book is tapping into the soul of business, the key to employee engagement. And I want him to share a lot more about what he shares about that across the world. More importantly, I think this is the pièce de résistance. In 2012, listen to this, he was formally invested as a Knight of the Sovereign Order of St. John of Jerusalem, Knights of Malta. I've been to Malta, it's beautiful. The world's oldest humanitarian organization. Like, what else, ladies and gentlemen, what else? Please help me welcome Mr. Blaine Bartlett.
Camelita, it is an absolute joy and pleasure to be joining you today. Wow, I'm tired just hearing that recitation.
Talking about this just before the call. I was like, when do you get a chance to sleep? Because this is a rap sheet here. This is wow.
Yeah, an old mentor of mine years ago said something that I've never forgotten: energy is choice. And
I love that.
So I mean, my kids, my grandkids, friends, colleagues say, you travel all over the world, don't you ever get jet lag? Yeah, sometimes I do, but mostly it's about choice. Yeah, when I need to be available, I'm available. When I don't need to be available, I just kind of disappear for a while. I mean, I just kind of close up. But energy is choice. Energy is a choice.
So, okay, this is a lot. Okay, you've done a lot. You've traveled. You've done a lot with a lot of people. You've obviously managed, consulted so many organizations, businesses. Why? What is the why for you behind it? Why did you want to do this with your life? This is not just a month in somebody else's life, but they have some, a month where they feel like they want to do this. This has been your life. Why did you choose this path?
Oh, wow. How do I even begin to, I think just philosophically, I mean, I'll just kind of back that up. I am unbelievably unique in this universe. And I don't say that with anything other than a recognition that you also are unbelievably unique in this universe. There is never been, and there never will be, anybody that is just like me.
Can you say that again to the listeners that are looking down at themselves? Can you say that again? Because that right there is gold.
There will never be, there never has been, and there never will be anybody that is exactly like me. And for me, what that suggests is I bring something to the table that nobody ever has or ever will be. So part of the question, and I just kind of played with this real early on in my life, was what is that? And it's an ongoing exploration. I mean, people talk about, I need to go find my purpose. Well, no, your purpose already exists. You have to express your purpose in life. And that's what my life has been about, is just, kind of fumbling forward, expressing what I thought was and what I felt was that purpose in life. And for me, it's about making a difference. I mean, that's pretty generic. Everybody makes a difference.
You're giving so many nuggets. Slow down, because I want us to get it. Finding your purpose versus, because some people they're going to find their purpose, and when they found it, and what do they do? But you're saying that's not what we should be looking for.
No, don't look for something that already is present in you. It's already here. Because I am this unique being, I am one of a kind. Yeah, statistically speaking, I mean, and somebody actually did the math on this. I saw this study. Statistically speaking, none of us should exist. Yeah, the likelihood of this exact form existing at this exact time in this little planet, navigating its way through this immense universe, statistically, I shouldn't exist. I do exist. So that's unbelievable possibility and potential, and there's a reason for it. There's a purpose for it. So now,
but when did you realize that yourself? Was there something that happened? Was there a moment? Was there an opportunity? What was it that you realized, I am amazing? Like, what? When was it?
Just the phraseology, I am. I mean, if we take this back into language sources, Yahweh. I mean, just all the great religions, in some way reference this notion of I am. Now, we will assign the label of God to that, or Allah, or Buddha, or whatever deity most people will organize around. But for me, it's imagination. I am an idea. I am an idea. This form that has got a name on it that's called Blaine Bartlett is just an idea. It was an idea. Yeah, I mean, just literally, it was an idea that my mom and dad had, and here I am. But when I was born, this idea starts to formulate. It starts to form. Everything that's ever been invented, everything that has ever existed, exists twice. First as an idea, and then in physical form. My job is to make that physical form the best representation of that idea that I can possibly be.
But why? Why is that important for you? Did you have a shift, or was it something that just fell into your lap, or how did you develop that for yourself? When did it start?
I think, I was a voracious reader. I think reading opens up unbelievable worlds. And, I started reading when I was 4 years old. My dad had a supermarket, a grocery store, and my job was to stock the magazine rack. It's the very first job I ever had. I got to stock, put the magazines in the magazine rack. And my payment was I got one comic book out of, I could pick a selection of comic books. So I started reading comic books when I was 4 years old. First as pictures, but then I started making sense out of the words and stuff. But it opened up imagination about what could be. And it was, again, ideation, idea, what could be. If this is me, what do I get to express? And I've always been intrigued with that. I'm not an accident. There's a reason, whether it's manufactured or whether it's inherent, there's a reason I'm existing. And that reason has to do with the nature of idea. Idea looks to be made real, always. And so that's been, the CV that you read, I started just looking at what can I do? How can I express myself? How can I experiencing? Life is meant to be experienced. Before we started talking, we were laughingly just kind of talking about, all the stuff I've done. And I made this comment about something that Sid Caesar, the American comedian, said a long time ago, that between goals, there is a life, and it must be lived and enjoyed.
I like that.
And I think that that's absolutely true. There's a life that must be lived and enjoyed. And part of that has to do with the nature of just going out and having experiences. There is honest to God, there's, for champions, there is no such thing as failure as long as I keep moving and experiencing and exploring. There can never be failure, if that's my mindset.
this sort of concept is just, I mean, it's just tremendous. I love it. I am learning this particular thing because I'm goal oriented. I'm like, let's just get it done. You know, I'm goal oriented. My problem has always been, I tell you, Blaine, my problem has always been that, you see that middle bit, that live and enjoy bit has always been a problem. I have changed over the last 3 to 5 years, but prior, it was always the work, the goal. The in-between just didn't matter. And so I got to a point where, what is it all for now? Because I wasn't enjoying and I wasn't living and enjoying the moment. Do you feel that right there is the reason why people don't live their full potential, or employers don't get the best out of their employees because they don't feel as if they're enjoying? What are the dangers of people not doing that?
There are, I mean, the book that that I reference a lot is called Compassionate Capitalism, and you mentioned it. And I wrote that book because I came to an awareness very early on in my career that most organizations are toxic to the human spirit. They absolutely do not encourage living life to the fullest. I mean, when just metaphorically, you think about people coming to work, they come to work, there's a start time. And then there's a break time, and then there's a lunch time, and then there's another break time, and then there's the whistle at the end of the day, and they go home. Well, in that gap, that 8 to 9 hour window, they're kind of standing, and again, there's exaggeration, but they're standing around waiting to be told what to do. What's my task? What's my assignment? Who's my boss? Who's directing me? Now, none of that was present before they got to work, and none of that is present after they leave work. Before work and after work, they're alive. They're out there. They're exploring. They're going down to the pub and they're having a pint. They're doing, they're enjoying things. They come to this little window here, 9 hours a day, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna suck air here for a while. And
wow,
it's crazy. It's a crazy way to live life.
So how do you teach in this book? Okay, so in your book, the international bestseller, Compassionate Capitalism, what do you teach for employers, organizations, governments? What do you teach they need to change so that their employees and themselves, because some of them are in that space for that entire time and not doing anything else, what do you teach in the book for us to change? What do we do?
The major thrust of that book is that everything, and I mean this literally, everything is connected. Nothing exists in isolation. And we can go into quantum physics and have that conversation. But I mean, literally from a scientific perspective, everything is in fact connected. So from a business perspective, everything is connected. And the net of that is, because everything is connected, everything is in a relationship. Everything has a relational dynamic to it. That's all any organization is a collection of individuals that are in relationship with each other, but they're also in relationship with goals. They're in relationship with values. They're in relationship with the chair that they sit in. And if the relationships aren't working well, the organization's not going to be successful. So
give us an example of good relationships versus bad relationships that we are in existence in every day.
Yeah, kind of a silly one here. I was working with a CEO of a firm a couple of years ago, and I was talking about this whole notion of relationship. And she was in the room, and she had 3 of her major, her key players in the room with her. And I said, I just flippantly said, we have relationships with chairs too. And one of the women in the group said, I hate my chair. And everybody stopped and said, what? And when the firm was founded, they went out, got secondhand furniture and whatnot, and they had never upgraded anything.
Wow.
And she said, yeah, it's uncomfortable. I never like my chair. And the CEO, to her credit, said, well, go get a new chair. We've got money. Go get a new chair. And then the other 3 people said, I don't like my chairs either. And so they all went out, they got new chairs. Now, what was interesting was I came back about 6 months later. I mean, it was a meeting. Came back about 6 months later, and I walked in the office. And you know how you can walk into a building, walk into an environment, and you feel what's kind of going on. This place was buzzing. It was just vibrating. It was alive. and it was palpably different
Wow.
than the last
Wow.
time I'd been there. And I
Wow.
said to the CEO, I said to her, you know, what have you been doing? And she went, what are you talking about? We haven't done anything different in the last 6 months. And I said, no, something's different. Something's very different here. What has happened? And she stopped and thought and said, well, we got new chairs. We got new
Wow.
furniture for people.
Wow.
And that was it. Energy will follow attention. And I want to have and this is where emotional engagement comes in. People are emotionally engaged when relationships are working well. So something as simple and as silly as just making sure my chair works for me. It's kind of like I can settle in. My energy isn't distracted. It's now present to be used in a way that I intend it to be
This
used.
is brilliant. This is just brilliant. And you could use this in every aspect of life, in a marriage.
Absolutely.
I mean, in sports. I mean, literally everything you can use this. If you're in a team, you don't feel a part of that team, whether it's a physical, this is brilliant. This is really good. Wow.
Yeah, in the work that I do with my clients, one of the things that I'll often bring into the conversation is something called ontological design. How do we design the environment so that it designs us in return? There's a reciprocity.
Right.
When I designed my office, I designed it very specifically so that I felt creative, that I felt inspired. I look out on the ocean. It's comfortable. I've got my books. I mean, and it's all intentionally positioned so that it designs me in return. When my eye goes someplace, it goes someplace that's pleasant for me to look at. I don't look at that door and go, oh, that's an ugly door. We did a good job on that because it's a door that's 160 years old. Yeah, that we've remodeled and so all of that stuff was by design.
But we don't think about these things as an employer or as the leader of an organization. We don't think, we just want productivity. We want, let's just get it done. And when we get productivity, we give you a raise, or we give you a salary, or we give you whatever. And I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, my God, I need to ask my staff, are you guys comfortable in your check?
Well, the whole idea of productivity, when business leaders try to get increased productivity, they focus on the behavior of the people. Let's get them to do things differently, more efficiently, more effectively.
Correct.
That's a non-starter. It truly is. That is not the way you increase productivity. Behavior is a consequence of the feeling structure that somebody has. The feeling structure is generated by internal descriptions. How I describe something determines how I feel about it, which causes my behavior. Wow. If you want to get better behavior, quote unquote, better behavior, you need to work on the description process that people are using to make sense out of what's going on around them.
Wow. This is really powerful. I mean, I can understand why you do this and why you have done this so well across the world. This is good. This is because at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, the reality is every business, they want more money. That, at the end, more productivity, more money, more profit. That's what we're in business for. We're not business to laugh and cry. I mean, I have a quote I say to everybody: if it's not making money, it's not making sense, because you're in business. You've got to focus on making money. But we need people to make money because we use other people's money, effort, time, and resources. And how can we do that if we fully don't understand this whole descriptive process as how people take what make them tick, why they would want to work more, why they would want to do more for you in the first place? This is good.
Exactly. See, and okay, you've got me on a soapbox here, so I'm going to. Most entrepreneurs do not understand what the true purpose of business is.
Tell us.
Most business leaders don't understand.
Tell us.
Business is. They think that it's to make money. No, it's not. No, it's not. Now I need money to keep my business running.
Yes.
Purpose of any business is to enhance the experience of being alive on this planet.
Ooh, I love that.
If your product or service is doing something that people feel more alive around, they're going to beat a path to your door. Now, that also includes your employees. It includes your suppliers. How do they feel about themselves when they're in the presence of your product or service? If they feel uplifted, if they feel inspired, if they feel fill in the blank, this goes back to the relationship.
Wow.
You organize your work process, you organize your marketing around the concept of thriving, feeling more alive, and you begin to
Wow.
make a difference that is not just one of impacting the market, it's one of impacting humanity. It's one of
Yes.
impacting the ecology. And that's where compassionate capitalism comes
I
in.
mean, I can understand also why that whole word of compassionate, but capitalism, because we still need to make money. You're in business,
Oh,
but then we also
absolutely.
need to be compassionate and understand that we're in business for people, and it is people that we're serving. Without people, you have no business. This is the, I mean, this whole thing about thriving, allowing people to thrive. This is so. My staff is going to be listening to this as she's editing the podcast, and she's going to be like, "Carmelita, I told you so." So so I'm going to be telling her, Victoria, you need a chair. This is really good. Let's switch gears a little bit, because you talk about in your latest book, tapping into the soul of business. Is this in alignment also with the soul of business, this whole employee engagement and how to get people to do more, give more, be more, create more? Because people can create a whole lot more for us if they are being inspired to create more.
Yeah. Carl Jung, defined the soul as that part of anything that seeks to express. And I mean, as I look out my window here, I look at the ocean, and it seeks to express. So the ocean has a soul. I look at a tree that's kind of off here. That soul exists in that tree also. It seeks to express in a certain way. Individuals in a company tapping into the soul of the business seeks to express. There's a life force that wants to be continuously expressed, and each expression is an enhancement of what went before. This is the nature of nature. Nature grows. There's nothing in nature that does not grow in some way, shape, or form until it doesn't, and then it fosters new growth again. There's always this reciprocity, this recycling.
But let me ask you this now. Things have changed. We're using more AI. We're using more technology. We have this whole craziness going on right now with blockchain technology and all of that. How, because since I've been listening to Twitter Spaces today all about this new chatbot and AI and all sorts of things. So we got to keep abreast with what's going on. How do we still maintain this whole thing with the use of AI, with the use of all this technology that is somehow not going to replace people, because you have people there for a reason, but it's going to replace aspects of what people do? How do we then don't all become very regimented and very robotic because we are so focused on AI to speed up processes? How do we maintain this system you're talking about?
This is a question that was raised back in the 1800s at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, when the cotton gin was developed. The trundled weaving machine. Technological advance has always been present, particularly in the last 300 years or so. And the question, it's an existential question. If that machine is going to replace me, what do I do? Who am I? Where do I belong? And I really think that those two questions, who am I and where do I belong, are the key questions that are always operating in people's minds. And when we look at, the employee engagement, enhancing employee engagement, and tapping into the soul of business, those two questions need to be answered in a way that give people a reason to participate. And who are you? Well, you are not a cog in a wheel. You are somebody that is unique and brings a unique skill set, perspective set, talent set to our business. We wouldn't have you here if you didn't. The question is, how do we access that? So that then becomes, not only who am I, but where do I belong? I may not belong at the receptionist's desk any longer if I was a entry-level hire. I may, because my mindset and my skill set, I may now be, in particularly demographically, I may now be working on the social media team.
So, okay, stay right there. At one point, do we ask our staff or engage with our staff and say, I know you've been in this position for a while. I know you've been functioning in this position for a while. We obviously have changed gears and we're doing a lot more AI. We're doing a lot more robotics, we're doing a lot more this or that. at what point do you engage and ask, where do you feel you can best serve our clients? You can best serve what you do. At what point?
Great question. You begin that at the very beginning at the hiring interview.
Right.
What's important to you? You could work for any company on the planet. What do you get to be, do, or have as a consequence of working with us? I mean, those three questions: be, do, have. Now, it may be very simple at the beginning. I get to have a paycheck. Okay,
Of course,
perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, we can start with it. 6 months later, don't do annual reviews. Do quarterly or semi-annual reviews. But the reviews aren't performance reviews; they're contribution reviews.
No, that's different.
Yeah, because I can have something that has kind of dialed that's everything in, and they can perform with their eyes closed, but they're not contributing who they are in a way that makes a difference to who we are. So I want to have contribution interviews. What's important to you today that wasn't important to you last time we talked?
Yes.
What are your dreams? Have they changed? And again, what do you get to be, do, or have?
Yeah.
By continuing your employment with us for the next year. What are your aspirations, and how can we weave those into who we are as a company and what we're doing as a company? So you're getting, and I'm getting what I want.
Do you think a lot of employers don't want to ask the question because they don't want to hear the answer?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the focus is on productivity.
Correct.
Not on enhancing the experience of being alive on the planet. Yeah, that can't be an afterthought. If my focus as a business leader is on enhancing the experience of being alive on this planet, I'm going to be asking that question of my people. What makes you more alive? Yeah. What do you get to do around here that makes you more alive? Gallup has asked that question in a different form 25 years, in their employee engagement surveys. Now, what's interesting, now I like statistics, but this one's fascinating. In 2016, just before the pandemic, I think it was 2018, the McKinsey Consulting Group surveyed leaders around the world. This was a large study about how they saw themselves as leaders. 96% of them, or 86% of them said, I'm an inspiring leader. And my people think I'm a good person. I'm inspirational, and I'm hitting the mark here as a leader. Gallup that same year asked people around the world about their leaders, the people that they report to. Are they inspiring? What kind of a leader are they? 86% of them said that they are uninspiring and unmotivating.
Oh no!
That gap. I mean, self-perception and others reporting. Now, what's interesting. Wow. Gallup does this survey for 25 years or so, looking at employee engagement. 87% of the workforce globally is disengaged from the work process in a significant way. Now, here's the capstone on this. Businesses annually spend $42 billion a year on leadership development.
My God.
With the objective of closing that gap of disengagement. It has not closed in 25 years because those programs don't focus on what is needed, which is, how do I make work meaningful?
God. Because the business at the end of the day want to make sure that their staff is happy, the staff stays, the staff productive, their staff is delivering over achieving all the things in which we strive for when we have a business.
Yeah.
But you're talking about this I love this compassionate capitalism. Like, I love this. This is so powerful because it's looking at things from a completely different angle.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely recognizes that I am connected to you. And my job is to leave you with the experience of increase when our conversation is completed. If I leave you with the experience of increase, now that's a subjective assessment. But if you walk away going, I feel better about me and I feel good about that experience, you're going to go out and it's a ripple. You're going to leave others with.
I need to introduce you to somebody. I'm telling you, I'm so going to introduce you to Because she's gonna love you. Oh my God. I'll tell you after we finish, but she's gonna love you. Oh my God.
My last TED talk was nature as the ultimate business guru. That was the talk. Nature is the ultimate business guru. And it ties into compassionate capitalism in this way. There is nothing in nature that serves as a center of accumulation. Everything in nature serves as a center of distribution. When you look at businesses, how it's conducted today, it's positioned to be a center of accumulation.
Yeah.
And that's a recipe for what we have today: wealth disparity, ecological decline, economic. I mean, you fill in the blank. It's all about that because we're focused on accumulation, not distribution. How do I distribute heart? How do I distribute love? How do I distribute care? How do I distribute my product in a generative way so I don't have to clean up after myself? There are microplastics in the Mariana Trench, and nobody's fault, but nobody paid attention to the ripple effect.
Yeah. And that is what makes a difference at the end of the day. That's long term. That is what makes a difference.
Long term.
I mean, we can talk for hours. I'm going to ask you two more questions. I know your time is precious, as well. But yeah, this is so good. This is so, I mean, I can understand why you're traveling the world for years. Professor here, professor there, doing this, doing that, on the board of this, on the board of that. I mean, I can understand why, because it is literally genuinely human knowledge that we should all possess and explore, but it doesn't happen. So somebody is listening to you and they're like, Blaine, I'm guilty. Hands up, I am guilty. What can they do today besides getting the books? And I'll tell you guys the books again. It's Compassionate Capitalism, A Journey to the Soul of Business. Discover your inner strength. Don't forget that book. Okay, and Blaine will tell you in a minute how you can get it. And the other one, Tapping into the Soul of Business, the Key to Employee Engagement. I want to encourage everybody, and you'll get the links in a minute. Go and get those books. Someone is listening and they're like, right, I'll get the book, fine. What can they do today to make the slightest but most effective change in the business organization lives?
The temptation is to be grand with that answer. The best answer I can come up with is to look around and go make a difference in somebody's life. Put yourself in a position of being literally a center of distribution. What can I distribute? I can distribute a smile. I can distribute a hug. I can distribute knowledge. I can distribute, it doesn't have to be grand. And if we act locally, which is the only place that we can ever act, that aggregates over time. And Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, Stoic philosopher, said, I have no interest in what makes no difference. We are so distracted by things that make no difference. Who cares what the Kardashians are doing?
Or wearing.
But energy follows attention. I want to be, this is the whole idea of being a champion. I have a mind that is, for many people, undisciplined. I want to have the discipline to direct my energy to where it makes a difference.
I like that.
Makes a difference.
I love that. So the last question, what does living like a champion mean to you?
That's a great question. I have defined sustainable success as being the process of developing the capacity to continuously start over.
Oh, say that again.
Developing the capacity to continuously start over. Champions don't fail. They don't. They may have disappointments. They may be on the losing end of a score every now and then, but champions don't fail because they are continuously starting over.
But I do have one more question, I'm sorry. But those, I am, as I said, I'm a go-getter, I'm on it, let's just get it done. how do you stop yourself from not doing that? How do you stop yourself from not coming down on yourself or not being hard on yourself because oh, it didn't happen this time, I'll just do it again? I mean, I just do it again anyway. But how do you help your mental processing to not go down the wrong route?
That's Carmelita, you just absolutely answered the question. It's a mental process. It's a mindset of a champion. I will do whatever it takes. An amateur will do just enough to get by.
Correct.
A champion, a professional, has a mindset of doing whatever it takes, whenever it takes it.
To get the job done.
And for me, and this is highly personal, I laugh at myself a lot.
I cry at myself.
Well, I'm not getting out of here alive. I mean, I truly, somebody a long time ago said to me, Blaine, if you're skating on thin ice, you may as well dance.
Oh, I love that.
And I laugh a lot. I'm playful. I think people get, particularly adults, we get serious.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think life is serious? Life isn't serious. It really isn't. Now, there's stuff out there, but it's all made up. Everything that we encounter is made up. And I mean that very specifically in terms of the meaning of science and everything else. So if it's all made up, I may as well make up something I can enjoy.
Make up your own version of success.
Exactly.
I love it. No, you're right. And I'm learning that. Like, I'm so learning that right now. I am learning that. I am learning the hard way, but I am learning it. And it's freeing.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. I've actually written a new book. It's called The Leadership Mindset. And that's the one that's over my shoulder here, if this is being viewed by anybody. But I wrote it, specifically to say, okay, as a leader, how do you need to be in order to have a compassionately capitalistic organization? How do you need to be a master of your life? And that's what the leadership mindset is about. It's 52 weekly practices that are designed to kind of shift the way you think, so that how I think determines what I'm having. So I want to shift the way I'm thinking.
I'll tell you something. This is so good. And lastly, how can people get in touch with you? Where can they get all these books from? If somebody's listening to you and they're like, I need to work with this man, how can they reach you today? Tell us.
The easiest is BlaineBartlett.com. And I've got all kinds of resources up there. Most of them are available for free. Tapping into the soul of business. You can get that book for free just by going onto the website. But BlaineBartlett.com. And then I'm on all of the regular social media channels. Instagram, at Blaine Bartlett gets you just about any place that I've got a social media presence.
So give us one last tip before you close up. What is the one thing you want to leave with everybody? If they get nothing else today, what is the one thing you want to leave that this sticks?
Live your life as if you are a center of distribution. I mean, for me, be a center of distribution. Don't hoard things. Don't hoard love. Don't hoard hugs. Don't hoard. Be a center of distribution. Give it all away. You cannot outgive the universe, and the universe moves to and through me continuously.
Man, this was good. Thank you. This was amazing. Like, this was amazing. I've made notes, and my staff is going to hear it. I made notes, so thank you.
Carmelita, my pleasure. Absolutely. Let me know if there's anything I can do to be of service to you.
Oh, absolutely. I have something in mind, so I'll tell you when we finish. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here from Blaine. My God, this was just amazing. Look, he talked about energy is choice. He talked about the universe it's unbelievably unique that you have a choice. That when your purpose is not just to find it, but to live every day as if you're living in your purpose. The last thing he mentioned I love is live your life as a center of distribution. What does that mean to you? What are you going to do differently? How are you going to live life today? I'm learning this, to live a life of fulfillment every single day. That energy follows attention, that everything is connected. Who are you connected to? That everything is relationship. What type of relationship are you building, creating, or developing? Behavior is a consequence of your productivity, my productivity. Oh my God, this is telling me I need to change. This whole process of being grateful. The true purpose of business is to enhance the experience of everybody that we serve on this planet. Your opportunity, my opportunity in living like a champion is to develop the capacity to continue to start over. My God, I needed to hear that again today. What are you planting? What are you building? What are you creating? Despite robotics, despite AI, despite blockchain technology, despite all the things that are here to replace human, we need humans in work. We need humans in hospitals. We need humans on the planes. We do need humans on the planes. We need humans everywhere. I want to encourage you to go and get those 2 books. And the third one, first one, the #1 international bestseller, Compassionate Capitalism, A Journey to the Soul of Business. Get it? That's powerful. And then tapping into the soul of business, the key to employee engagement. And lastly, the leadership mindset. This new book, all about these, there's 52 weeks that you can follow to change your mindset so you can develop your skill set. Go to BlaineBartlett.com, find him all over social media, send him a message, send him an email, buy the books, do something, take action, because champions take action. This is Carmelita here from the Carmelita Podcast saying I'll see you soon, and we will see you